So I am about to find out whether or not my book was selected as a New York Times bestseller.
I went home that night and I didn't sleep a minute. I was in the worst, panic, anxiety, stress, fear that I've experienced in my life.
This shake better not taste good. The #1 rule of shakes is if they taste good, they aren't good for you, bro.
Honestly, cannot explain how much it's changed my life.
So I'm 25. What are the 3 levers if you were 25 again that you would pull to maximize growth and most importantly fulfillment?
It wasn't about identifying businesses, it was about the right.
I underestimated how important parents were in a person's life. I didn't think we were important to Sahil.
Very few of us ever take the time to ask the question whether the mountain we're climbing is one that we actually chose.
Gotta go out first. Yeah. First morning in London here. We got in, I don't know, 9-10 p.m., had a quick dinner, 5-hour time change here. So it is 7:25 a.m. in London, it feels like 2 a.m. But we got this big radio show this morning. Chris Evans, huge Virgin UK radio, it's gonna be awesome. But I gotta get about 6 shots of espresso in me before I'm ready to do this.
One of our boys made us a bet that he would get down to 12% body fat by June. And he's trying to put serious skin on this, like $5,000 or something like that. And I swear to God, this man is like what is he, like 225, like 25% right now?
32% body fat.
For some reason, he set the bar at 12%, which he doesn't understand how lean that is. Yeah. So I just sent him a picture of myself when I was at like roughly I got DEXA scanned at 11.6% body fat. And when he wakes up in the morning and gets this text, he's gonna be shook that he set this bet.
He's gonna realize he'll never be able to hit his goals. Let's see what you look like.
It's kind of embarrassing.
No, it's not. Show the world. I mean,
That's like 3 summers ago.
that's absurd.
And he's in trouble.
Baseball player turned private equity investor turned newsletter writer turned social media.
I suppose we can fast forward to the end of the interview. How are you going to follow this?
And then go take actions to build your life around those things.
This shake better not taste good, because the #1 rule of shakes is if they taste good, they aren't good for you. Bro. What the is in this?
You know damn well this tastes way too good to be healthy. What is this? How much chocolate syrup is in this thing? Come on, bro.
Man's gal wanna come undress me, swing with a right, but I might go lefty. I made plus with it, so don't test me. They wouldn't let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me, swing with a right, but I might go lefty. I made plus with it, so don't test me.
Last 3. Let's see these last 3. Pump it. 2 and 1. Nice. Good work.
You ever have new jokes, huh? One joke, lather, rinse, repeat, over and over. Try to work on something good.
Don't test. Don't test. Don't test. Yo. Don't test. Don't test. Don't test. Don't test.
What are you ordering?
Grilled chicken and broccoli. My new rule is that it has to taste bad in order for it to actually be healthy when you're ordering out. Mostly not joking.
I spent the first 30 years of my life doing all of the things that you are told will make you one day feel successful and happy and carefree, that you'll wake up one day and sort of live in that stress-free, fulfilled future that you've been promised if you achieve the things that the world tells you matter. Make money, acquire status, get promoted, have a fancy sounding job, all of those things that we're convinced from a young age are the things that are going to make us feel that way. I was doing those. And all along the way, I convinced myself that I was just one bonus, one promotion, one title, whatever the thing was, away from feeling that, waking up one day and feeling good about who I was as a person. And unfortunately, at every single one of those steps, other areas of my life were starting to fall apart. My relationships with my parents, I was never seeing them. We were living 3,000 miles away while I was chasing money and all of these other things. My relationship with my sister had effectively ground to a halt. My wife and I, unfortunately, were struggling to conceive at the time. That was creating strain in our relationship. I was drinking 6-7 nights a week. My physical and mental health were deteriorating. All of these other areas of my life were starting to suffer, while on the surface, it looked like I was winning the game. And I fundamentally believe that the answers that we seek in life are found in the questions that we avoid. There are all of these questions that we're avoiding asking in our own lives because it's easier and it's more comfortable to just not ask them and to just continue to go about the way that we have. And this book really forces you to stop and pause and ask some of those questions. And if that causes you to do one tiny thing differently in your life and that creates a positive impact, I am going to be over the moon with what this can go and do in the world. And so I really want to spend more time with people going deeper on that idea.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out. Thank you for telling me the story. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
I honestly cannot explain how much he's changed my life. I went from being a night owl, so all of the time I'd work into the evening whilst my wife and son was asleep. As soon as I watched what Sahil was doing, it resonated with me, and I switched to being up at 4 a.m. now in the cold plunge by 4:30, and then now I'm just hopefully cruising in the right direction. I'm taking little 1% steps to try and be better each day.
And have these changes rippled into other areas of your life?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just they've compounded where my wife gets a little more rest in the morning now if she's a little tired from feeding our son through the night. And I now take him for an hour, which is great because now I've got time with him in the morning, which is just time that used to just dwindle away because I'd be so focused on work. So I need to work harder in order to create that time later. But now actually, I just make sure I've got that time so I can spend with him each and every day.
Piecing up the payback. They ain't give it to me, I create that. Money ain't the mission, man, I hate that. If you
Is there anything you change about yourself? What would you change? Shoulders and
Chest.
and
New cameraman.
don't do it for the money, but I'm paid for this. Independent moving, but I'm majored off. They didn't believe me, but I made it so. Money ain't the mission, man, I hate that. If your shit is good, you gon' make that. This that Martin Luther shit from way back.
I'm just holding the camera on you in public so people think you're important.
Try to make me feel good about myself.
Yeah. Boost your morale up. So what do we got going on right now?
What are we on? Day 3 in London. Is this day 3?
Technically
day 2.
day 2.
Second full day here in London. We've got a few podcasts today. First podcast is at a cold plunge and sauna studio. I have no idea what they have in mind for this, but we're gonna find out. So we're gonna go do that. We've got another 2, and then tonight I find out about the New York Times list. So Fingers crossed.
The last thing that you asked yourself that you caught yourself out on?
I mean, this week, like I published this book into the world, and I, on Monday, so the book was released on a Tuesday. On Monday, I walked into Times Square to see a billboard with my book and my face on it.
Yeah.
All like that night we had the first launch event, hundreds of people, sold out crowd, telling me, you know, how excited they were about it, how great the stuff was. All of these like positive external things, giving me all the confidence in the world that I should feel great about this thing that I'm doing. I went home that night and I didn't sleep a minute. I was in the worst like panic, anxiety, stress, fear that I've experienced in my life. Wow. Didn't sleep. The whole night I was having like dreams, thinking about I'm gonna release this thing into the world. This is when everyone's gonna find out that I'm an imposter, like that I'm a fraud. This is when it all comes crashing down, paranoia. The whole next day, like it should have been joy, excitement. It was just like completely caught in the grips of this feeling that like this was when it was all gonna end. And that was all grounded in this story that I've been telling myself since I was a kid, that I'm not that smart and that I'm not that good at these things. And like, oh, I've been fooling people for a while, but this is the moment when it's really permanent and really public and it's out there in the world and I can't hide from it anymore and it comes crashing down. And I really struggled with it last week. Yeah. If I'm being completely honest, it was, I was like, really not enjoying it. Yeah. And now I've gotten through it. I kind of worked through it. I had a process that I went through to try to navigate it. I've been able to sort of rewrite that story a bit through some inner work around it. But the reality of these things is very different from what you see on the surface. And I think that's important for anyone out there to know that like, you are not alone when you feel those things. There's a tendency to think that the person that you admire or look up to has it all figured out, that things must be just great. Yeah. Like, oh, Sahil's publishing this book. He's like incredible, so cool. I literally, it was one of the worst days I've experienced. Wow. Mentally. Like I really was in a bad place. And so you have to remember that the next time you're struggling with one of those moments, the next time you feel that imposter syndrome, you feel that fear of being found out, those things, that A, you're not alone, B, it's very overblown. Like no one actually is going to remember. No one's actually staring at you in the way that you think. Everyone's just worried about themselves. And then ultimately, C, it's like you are paying the cost of entry for the growth that you asked for. You asked for this growth. Well, that feeling of imposter syndrome is the cost of entry to achieve it.
So I'm 25. What are the 3 levers if you were 25 again that you would pull to maximize growth and most importantly, fulfillment?
Invest in your relationships is number 1. My investments in relationships with people have been what have led to the coolest, most profitable businesses. It wasn't about identifying businesses. It was about the right people. And so I say this over and over again, that like, ultimately, all of those journeys and destinations that you want in life, financially and business-wise, are going to be governed by the people that you choose to have in your space and in your energy. It's not going to be because you identify the best business idea. It's going to be because you're spending time with the right people, and those people are the ones that spark those ideas.
Come on. Nah,
it's like natural.
Podcast number 3?
2.
Podcast number 2. Hopefully this one involves less cold plunges. What do you want?
I want you to share the news.
Oh. You want the news. You want the news. USA Today, best-selling book list across all formats.
Oh my God.
Ja boy came in at number 6. All different types, ahead of Onyx Storm, ahead of Fourth Wing.
Damn.
We really out here, though.
I'm freezing. Let's go into that cafe. So I am about to find out whether or not my book was selected as a New York Times bestseller. By all accounts, it should be. We sold way more than enough books, as exhibited by the fact that we were the number 6 book on the entire USA Today bestseller list, which is all books, all formats. But the New York Times list is editorialized, meaning they can decide to not have things on there. It's not just based on the amount of books that you sold. I'm reminded in this moment of a line from my book, because I care a lot about this thing, this accolade. But I have to remember this one line, which is a quote from the movie Cool Runnings, where the main character says, "A gold medal is a wonderful thing, but if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it." So as I chase these accolades, these achievements, and as all of you out there feel that same way, where you're attaching so much importance to this external thing that you fundamentally cannot control, remember that line. If you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it. Easier said than done, and god damn it, I hope I get this, but if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it.
Hey. What? I'm so happy. I gotta go call my parents. Thank you. Number 2. I did it. It was the number 2 bestseller in the world. I can't believe it. I gotta go call Elizabeth.
Hi.
What does this say?
Hi.
Roman, what does this say?
2. Are you number 2?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Under Let Them?
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list, but under Let Them. Sahil, oh my god. Can you say Dada, number 2? Sahil, oh my god. Oh my goodness. Dada's so happy. I have no words. It's unbelievable. Oh my gosh. Roman, are we so proud of Dada? He's amazing. He worked so hard. He got number 2.
Number 2.
Sahil, that's unbelievable. I'm so proud of you.
Bye. Bye.
I love you.
I think this calls for some champagne. Yeah, maybe I'll drink it straight out of the bottle. Cheers.
Cheers, bravissimo.
Amazing, Sahil, to our boy.
Thank you. Waking up the next morning like, yeah, we did it.
Got some big news last night. Mother
New York Times bestseller.
How do you feel about it?
I feel like a lot of hard work was rewarded. I feel very happy for the team, all the hard work that we all put in, that I didn't let anyone down. I feel very gratified that the right thing happened because we fucking deserved it. And this book is going to change a lot of lives. And I just feel grateful. I really can't believe it. 4.5 years ago, I started writing tweets that no one was reading. And to be able to sit here now in this moment and experience something like this, it's just a reminder of one thing, which is you can just do things.
Pretty sick.
We took a picture of him.
Yeah.
Gotta go in first.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been struggling enormously with fertility in the last couple of years, to the point where I would say it's probably the worst experience I've ever been through. And you were the first guy that I'd ever seen online talk about fertility, which I thought was quite cool, because I think I found it the hardest thing I've ever navigated ever. And so, firstly, thank you from my wife and I for being so transparent and being so vulnerable. And like I say, thank you very much. And I would love to know, because I think I'm honest online because you were honest online about it. And so how did you think about that at the time? What was your thinking about being so vulnerable around your fertility journey and becoming a dad? And can you talk about that journey with us?
Thank you for sharing. I mentioned it earlier. My wife and I had struggled for 2 years to conceive. And it was at a time in my life when I was in a pretty dark place. From 2019 through 2021, chasing all of these things that I thought were going to make me happy, buildup of stress, every single month. Anyone that's been on that journey knows, every single month building up towards this one moment, the letdown, the tension around that. And the most beautiful part of that entire journey was we made this decision to move across the country. And within a few weeks of getting back to the East Coast, we found out that my wife was pregnant. And that was, I'm not a particularly religious person, but that was one moment in my life where I just felt like God had winked at us. Like something fell into place, and everything in your entire life falls into place as it should. And the journey since then, and the amount of gratitude that we've had, that has changed my life. I mean, we had struggled with something for so long, and to then have this thing literally enter our world that brought so much joy and purpose, it has just been remarkable. But it's also provided a really important reminder recently which is a story that I'll share that a few weeks ago, I was in my office. I was working hard on something for this book launch. And my son, who's now 2.5 years old, handsome little guy, comes storming into my office and just starts wreaking havoc. I mean, he's 2.5 years old, so that's kind of what a 2.5-year-old boy does. Throwing things all over the place, knocking stuff down in the back of my office. And I started having this super negative, spiraling thought, like, why is he doing this? This is so annoying. Can't he go play in another room? Doesn't he know I'm trying to focus? All of these negative thoughts. And in that moment, I stopped myself. And I paused. And I zoomed back 5 years to when my wife and I were deep in this struggle and this pain. And I had prayed every single night that we would one day have a healthy child. And here I was in that moment, complaining about the exact thing that I had prayed for. And it was a reminder, a very important reminder, that sometimes in life, the things we pray for become the things that we complain about. But only if we let them. Only if we aren't able to pause and catch ourselves in those moments and recognize that sometimes you are literally living out your prayers. All of you in this room, I want you to actually think about this in the week ahead, in the days ahead. How many of the things that your younger self prayed for are you now complaining about? Thank you guys so much for being here. Okay.
Yes, now moving into investment story.
When Sahil told you that he wanted to write the 5 Types of Wealth, what were your thoughts? Did you ever imagine that it would become a bestseller?
Never imagined it would be a bestseller. I was just impressed that he could write a book. You know, that amazed me. So, do I look at the camera or look at you?
No, you can look at me.
Okay. I was amazed. I was amazed that he was going to write a book. So my father wrote a book, a scientific book, and it cost the first 6 years of my life. He was working on it. I think from my father, I had this idea that now we'd lose Sahil. Would just be years of his life would be gone. But I cannot believe he wrote that beautiful book in the time he wrote it. I just can't stop reading it. I think it's beautifully.
Yeah, it really is. It's incredible. If you could go back in time and tell a young Sahil one thing that would prepare him for this moment, what would it be?
You know, I feel like I told him that I feel like I would just repeat what I was always saying to him, that Sahil, you have no idea how extraordinary you are, because he had a capacity to connect to people in a way that was amazing. I think if I were to go back, I would just repeat what I was always saying to him. Like, Sahil, you're going to do amazing things. But yeah.
How has watching Sahil's journey changed you as a parent? And what have you learned from him?
I underestimated how important parents were in a person's life. I didn't think we were important to Sahil. I felt like whatever we had given him, he took, and then he became himself and went off into the world. And I didn't feel there was a connection still that was important. So I think what I've come to understand is that love may change. Like he says, the first 10 years are so crucial, and then after that it's different. But I feel like it still matters to him, that we're proud of him and that we love him, and that connection is still a part of his life. That amazes me. So as a parent, that has changed me. I now understand that we still matter in some way, which I think I didn't get before. So that's been a big lesson for me.
If you could send a heartfelt message to Sahil right now, what would you say to him about this milestone in his life?
I just say, Sahil, just give yourself time to take all of this in. you've received so much love from people because they feel you have had such a positive impact on their life. And just take the time to take it in. I can't fully, I need time to take it in. It's so incredible. So I just want him, he was concerned about this, making this bestseller list, and I sent him a text that was something like, Sahil, at every one of these events, people are telling you you've had a positive impact on your life. That is your bestseller list. And he said, I know you're right, but I just want him to take it in. I want him to just give himself the space to really breathe this in. I think that's what I tell him.